No, Prabhu, that's me. That's me.
Okay.
Not here yet.
Okay. When we start with bhakti, yesterday we were discussing on the classes, when we start with bhakti, after some time, then, we just get comfortable in our routine of bhakti. And then, the sense of relief which we experience in the beginning from material fire when we joined Krishna consciousness, that is maybe relieved a little bit. But then if we don't have the enthusiasm and we don't experience the emotional dynamics of diving deeper into Krishna consciousness, then it will be hard for us to sustain. So, as the six benedictions asked by the twin sons of Kuera, we should also translate those six benedictions into our own personal situations and work out, okay, this is what my situation is, how best I can do more and more and more, considering that, yes, we all have duties. So that's my experience, that somehow or the other, if we keep on doing more and more and more and more, somehow Krishna provides that all the other duties are fulfilled. And all I can say is just from my life experience. I don't know whether that's called realization or no, but that's it, yeah. And again, of course, this verse is a replica of the verse in the 9th canto where Amrish Maharaj, asks the Lord for the same thing, that using all his senses in the service of the Lord. And one thing is there that we should be always thinking of devotional service that's engaging all our senses in bhakti, or otherwise the senses will take us into sense gratification, which is, and as we know, both Krishna and Maya are simultaneously with us. As Prabhupada said, it's like standing in the shadow of a tree, at the edge of the shadow of the tree. If you take one step inside, you are in the shade of Krishna consciousness. But if you take one step outside, you are in the blazing sun of material existence. So when we recognize that our senses should be used, must be used in the service of Krishna, then the senses will automatically be not used for sense gratification and will be saved from the fire of material existence. So this introspection and contemplation must go on all the time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sakurai Prabhu. Anybody else would like to share something? Actually, Sakirai Prabhu, can I ask you a question? It's relating to what Viraj Krishna Prabhu said or mentioned in a class 2 days back. He said that we have to differentiate people and associate with them according to their level. For example, if they're at the lower level, then you become their friend. If they're above you, you respect them, etc. Same as nectar of, something that it says in nectar of instruction. Now, how do we differentiate who's at what level? How do we find out, or do we totally depend upon our intelligence, or how else do we segregate people? Because everyone seems superior to us, right? Everyone except you is a pure devotee of the Lord. So how do we segregate?
So that's what Prabhupada actually taught us. In the scriptures, there are many classifications given on how to differentiate people. Urmila Mataji has actually worked out a table where she's quoted from different places in different scriptures as to three types of devotees: Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttama. Of course, when we start, some people, of course, when we know that, like visiting devotees and senior devotees, we know that, they have to be offered respect and, we have to offer service to them. When we meet someone new, then we, of course, treat them with respect. And once we know them closely, then we can also understand at what level they are. But we are not here to judge anyone. We always treat everyone with respect. Everyone with respect. So even when people are suppose new, either ignorant or innocent, so we just treat them with respect. But in our behavior, we should intelligently use compassion. Because sometimes if you don't use that intelligence, then that compassion also can backfire, because people might think, who do you think I am? So that intelligence we have to use, and that intelligence will also come from experience. Obviously, as we said, that there are some people in the community, we know, what their level is, but as we said, that we must treat everyone with respect. So does it answer your question, Sneha Bhakti?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And obviously, yes, service mood has to be there all the time. And once I asked Narayani Mataji, and she said that services will also differ as the time goes by. I had a fortune of inviting Subhag Maharaj once to our house for prasadam, and we were time poor at that time, and even Maharaj had to was busy, and but at least when he came, he said, you are doing service of offering prasadam to me, so I must offer something to you. So he said, let's do 5-minute kirtan. And then he spoke about Krishna. So that was his service to our household. So, being compassionate on us, he did that service for us with respect. But then, obviously the position was very clear. So that way, and of course, if we have the humble mood, the trouble comes when it's easy to respect and serve the visiting devotees, but many times we actually forget people in our own community who are quite advanced and quite senior, and we just take them for granted. And in our heart, in the depth of our heart, there might be little envy there. So that we have to be very careful as to, even within the community, there are wonderful devotees, and for what they are doing, because familiarity brings contempt. And if we become too familiar, then we can easily see their so-called flaws. But the point is that within our community, can we respect and serve devotees based on what they are doing, rather than looking at their flaws? Thank you.
So true. Thank you so much for sharing, and especially that example of Maharaj. That was amazing, actually. Thank you. I think Virat Krishna Prabhu is here now, so we will hand it over to him.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, why don't you continue today? You're already on a roll.
And no, Prabhu, I was just filling in, so I've got things to do. I'm just like in the middle of doing some things, but because that was an emergency, I just filled in, Prabhu. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Prabhuji. I really like the point you mentioned about the respecting of the devotees. And in Bhagavatam it is said that Shanni Karsho Namarthyanam, that in this world who we all are Martyanam. Martyanam means that we will succumb to death. And Shannikarsho means when we are in close vicinity to such persons. And in our case, obviously our main aim is to associate with each other. But when we become close with someone, then Bhagavatam says anadarana karanam, that we become the reason for contempt for each other. And these are the warning signals that we always have to have due respects to our association and value of association. As you mentioned, it's very easy to respect the visiting guests, but actually those who are very elevated amongst us, we end up having another anakaranam, contempt, in due course of time, because naturally familiarity starts breeding contempt. So nice example in Bhagavatam is given that the person Gange, he's living on the shores of the Ganges, but Ambasai Anya Yatri Shuddhaya. But to purify himself, he goes to bathe in other rivers. I know which river can be more purifying than the river Ganges, but a person living on the shores of the Ganges doesn't value, its importance. So similarly, we have many, elevated, advanced devotees amongst us. Some are silent devotees, some are, not so silent devotees, but they are all up the mark there. So, on the basis of Bhagavatam, we have to learn that we have to show, as importance to these devotees, because our advancement in Krishna consciousness actually depends on especially the mercy of those devotees who are, Shannikarsho, who are very close to us in proximity. And so our conduct should be 100%, as per standard of Bhagavatam. And our Guru Maharaj mentioned that, this anadharana karanam, the cause of contempt, how that can be, completely eradicated is when all devotees actually come together and hear Bhagavatam. When we come to hear Bhagavatam, then guess what? The center is Bhagavatam, and Bhagavatam is Krishna. And somehow or the other, even if before coming there were some, misalignments in our thoughts, there was some envy in our hearts, but Bhagavatam is so pure that Bhagavatam itself will eradicate all the misgivings that are there. And we will find that as we continue this practice of Bhagavatam-centered association, that we will actually have greater love, greater respect, and we will grow in each other's association. And we see, Nalkuver and Manigriva, they actually don't have contempt for Narad Muni, even though Narad Muni cursed them. Rather, they have gratitude towards Narad Muni. And this chapter concludes by saying that both Nalkuver and Manigriva expressed their gratitude both to Krishna and Narad Muni, and they circumambulated the Lord who was bound to the wooden mortar and offered obeisances to him, and took permission to return to their respective abodes. Now we'll start the 11th chapter. And in this chapter, we see it's titled The Childhood Pastimes of Krishna, and it is a flow on from the Damodar Leela. So part of Damodar Leela extends to this chapter as well. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Shukha Vacha Gopanandadaya Shrutva Drumaya Patatoravam Tatra Jagmu Kuru Sreshta Nirghata Bhaya Shankita. Translation. Shukdev Goswami continued, O Maharaj Parikshit, when Yamularjuna trees fell, all the cowhead men in the neighboring wood, hearing the fierce sound and feeling thunderbolts, went to the spot. So, word to word, Shri Shukha Vacha, Shri Shukdev Goswami said, Gopaha, all the cowhead men, Nanda Adayaha, headed by Nanda Maharaj. So Nanda Maharaj also came. Shrutava, hearing, Drumayo, of the true trees, Patatoha, falling down. Ravam, the high sound, as terrible as thunderbolt. So there was tumultuous sound as the two trees fell. And we may have experienced, when huge trees fall, actually there is chaos all around, this boisterous sound. Tatra, therein on the spot, Jagmu went, Kurusreshta, O Maharaj Parikshit, Nirhata Bhaya Sankitaha, who were afraid of the falling thunderbolts. Text 2. Bhumyam nipatito tatra dadrishur yamalarjuno babramustad avignaya lakshyam patanna karanam. Translation. There they saw the fallen Yamala trees on the ground, but they were bewildered because even though they could directly perceive that the trees had fallen, they could not trace out the cause for their having done so. Would anyone like to read the paper, please?
Okay, I'll read, Prabhu.
Please, Prabhu.
Considering all the circumstances, had this been done by Krishna, he was standing on the spot, and his playmates described that this had been done by him. Had Krishna actually done this, or were these merely stories? This was a cause of bewilderment.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the paper that all the playmates who were already there, they actually pointed out that Krishna had done it. And Radha Govind Maharaj very nicely describes this pastime, the aftermath of the fall of Yamalarjuna trees, what transpired. And the tumultuous sound was there of the trees along with its trunk, branches, leaves falling over, and Krishna is in between the two trees. Now, the immediate concern of the elderly cowhead man was the safety of Krishna. Krishna shouldn't be harmed. This is the Vatsalya Bhava. And they were astonished to see these huge, gigantic trees, but they could not trace the cause of it because there was no storms, there was no tornadoes, there was no Trinavrata, as to speak. So what could have happened? And the 3-4-year-old sakhas, friends of Krishna, who were playing nearby, they actually mentioned in their, childlike voice and tone that Mother Yashoda tied Krishna. Krishna started crawling, and crawling, Krishna went between the two trees, and the wooden grinding mortar, it turned crosswise. The wooden grinding mortar got stuck. Krishna put a bit of force, and the two trees uprooted and it fell. And when the cowherd men heard this, they said, "Come on, what kind of story and mythology is this? It's just a figmentation of these young boys, young children's imagination." And some of the cowherd men actually said that, why did you even bother to ask the children? These 3-year-olds, they don't have any sense. Fault is yours that you are asking an important question to these 3-4-year-olds. How would they know what intelligence they have? How can they describe? So they could not figure out as to what was the cause. And later on, we'll see that they speculate that there must have been a demon who has come about. And there is a meeting of elderly cowherd men held, where it is certain that ever since Krishna and Balaram were born, a lot of disturbances are happening in Vrindavan. First there was Putana, then there was Shaktasur, then there was Trinavrata, and they remember the words of Gargamuni that this boy is as good as Narayana. He doesn't say that this is Narayana. He's as good as Narayana. Therefore, you have to take due and nice care for him. So later on, they make a decision. We don't want to preempt what that decision was, but based on this, we can understand that everyone loved Krishna so much. And although Krishna is the protector of everyone, but Brajvasis are protective of Krishna. This is the mood of Vrindavan. Everyone loves Krishna. Everyone is protective of Krishna, and everyone is concerned of Krishna's welfare. They were bewildered, they were wonderstruck. They could not find the cause of it, and yet they could not believe that it could have been Krishna who had done it. For them, Krishna is a mere helpless child. One of the other reasons they give is that if Krishna indeed had done this, then why would he be bound? If Krishna has so much strength, wouldn't he have first released himself from the bondage of Mother Yashoda, from the wooden grinding mortar? And therefore they dismiss this logic. The point to note here again is that as far as Krishna is concerned, when he enacts pastimes in connection with his devotees, all the logic goes out of the window, because logic cannot be applied to the birth and the activities of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karme chamay divyam evam yo me veti tatvataha. His birth and his activities are transcendental. We are having a third view at the moment, so we may be able to understand, if at all. However, due to Leela Shakti, the Brajvasis are covered about the knowledge of Krishna being Supreme Personality of Godhead. So any questions, Prabhu Sumataji, any comments? So we'll continue, Krishna willing, tomorrow. Have a lovely Krishna conscious day. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.